Hello and good morning, at least good morning from where I am at. I'm talking to you today about the fact that female sexual energy is life force energy. Now, one of the reasons why I want to teach you this is there's often a lot of confusion and misunderstanding or even separation between sexual energy and energy, life force and sexuality, feeling sexy and feeling energetic, okay? So what I want to talk to you about today are a few things. We're going to cover off today what is life force, energy and sexual energy. And we're also going to talk about the huge mistake when women particularly separate out from their sexuality or don't have a strong relationship to their sexuality as a woman. And I'm going to talk to you about how the true feminine is in command of her body and her sexuality. It's one of her main thrones, is her pussy and her sexuality. And what you need to do to step back toward your juicy sexual beingness as a woman. This is some of the things that I notice that women in my world are experiencing. They are experiencing burnout. They're experiencing low energy. They're experiencing overwhelm. And they can be experiencing a loss of or a lack of libido or sexual feelings or sexual energy. Women are also experiencing things like an inability or a difficulty to orgasm. It's got a technical term. It's called being anorgasmic, okay? Some women believe, and I will say that strongly, believe that they can't orgasm or that they are anorgasmic. Boy, do I want to dispel that one, okay? So I'm starting this series today talking a bit more about sexuality, my sexy sisters, because it's a really, really important topic with regard to feminine power and energy, okay? So I've got a little bit of a series of this coming up at the moment. So this is our first one today. Now, what you want to be experiencing is a juicy, full, thriving, rich, vibrant energy of sexuality all of the time as a woman. Now, if there's one thing to me that is a huge red flag and indicator to me that a woman is out of her true feminine power is the loss of her relationship to her sexual energy. There are so many reasons for this in our world around us, okay? There are reasons that there's no time or space for it. As in, I'm not talking just about having sex. Let's just get that off the table. When I'm speaking about sexuality, I'm not just talking about the act of interacting with your sexuality sexually or having sex with someone. And this is one of the things I want you to sort of wrap your head around, that sexual feelings, that sexual flows, that stimulating yourself sexually or being stimulated sexually or feeling sexual vibration or sexual energy is an engagement of your life force. There's this story, and you're gonna see about this again next week. There's a Greek myth about a man called Tiresias. Tiresias interrupted two serpents in coitus, and the goddess Hera punished him for interrupting their coitus. And the way she punished him was by turning him into a woman for 10 years. So for 10 years, he got to experience his life, his energy, and his sexuality as a woman. Now, when he, once again, after 10 years saw two serpents in coitus and he didn't interrupt them, Hera turned him back into a man. Now, then an argument ensued between the goddess Hera and the god Zeus, who were partners, husband and wife. And the argument went that Zeus claimed that sexuality was more for the feminine than the masculine. And Hera was trying to protect against this secret that sexuality was more about the feminine than the masculine. So, who was the only person that could answer this question? Tiresias. Because Tiresias had had the experience of having sex both in a male body and in a female body. And so they asked Tiresias, who experiences more sexual pleasure and more sexual energy, the man or the woman? Tiresias' answer was, if sex were given 10 parts, 9 parts are for the woman and only 1 for the male. Now, as in all good mythology and legend, it was not just a myth or an idea. This was a description of the fact that the sexual space and sexual energy is more about the feminine than it is the masculine. Hopefully that has just blown your mind and blown all of your previous preconceptions out of the window, because it is truth that if sex were 10 parts, 9 parts are for the woman. Now, why have we been confused about this? Because we've come from this masculine patriarchal world in which everything has been sort of clouded over by the masculine. So if sex is only 1 part for the masculine, but the masculine has suddenly dominated our world, then what is masculine sexuality has sort of become everything. And this can be depicted well in how most pornography is depicted. Most pornography is depicted in through the masculine glasses, through the masculine lens. Okay? And it does not depict the experience of feminine sexuality. I've got a whole video for you about that next week, about the fact that feminine sexuality is different to masculine sexuality. I just want to talk more about life force today. So, if this premise is true, that sexuality is more about the feminine than the masculine, that's got to get you asking questions. It's got to get you wondering or yearning for, well, what does that mean? What does that feel like in my body? What then do I need to own? What do I need to stand up into and step into in my body and in myself to claim this sexual domain? So what I'm talking about here has a lot to do with, you know, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. The divine masculine is a world of ideas and thought and sharpness and direction. And the feminine is about will and force and might and the life force. The feminine, Shakti, is about life. The feminine is sexual energy. Now, again, I hope you've got explosions going off all over the place in your mind about this, because this then hopefully is going to give you permission to start to go, oh, that's feminine. That's something that I can turn toward. That's something I can want to learn more about. It's something I can want to understand. It's something I can want to master in my body and in my energy. And then you know, and I can tell you, the way that you're going to learn this is by stepping into your queen, because the queen and the priestess, the true feminine, completely command their sexuality, and they're in command of the sexual space. That does not mean she dominates the sexual space. It means she recognizes that when she's in a sexual space with a person, that this is her domain, this is her queendom, this is where she operates, right? This is why I'm pointing over there because that's my bedroom, but it's also my temple. This is why I call my bedroom my temple, because that is my queen's and my priestess's domain. So the main thing that I wanted to pass to you today is, you know, I've noticed, I'm Australian, right? I have noticed, particularly in the United States, that there's this big separation between what's called normal sexuality, normal sexual feelings and sexual experience. In a lot of the American culture, it's become kind of not okay to just have normal conversations about sex and sexuality with your friends or with your partner, to discuss sex, to, you know, feel sexual, okay? Another reason why I think some women have felt uncomfortable about their sexuality is there's a fear that they'll get attacked or that it attracts the wrong attention. Now the thing is, when you're really owning and embodying yourself as a queen does, you're so grounded that you actually don't attract the wrong kind of energy. When you're really grounded and owning your body and, thriving in your juicy energy, you're actually very grounded and you're very embodied. And this actually creates a bit of an energetic, clarity about who is and who is not invited inside of your energy and your body. Okay? You become confident in how to walk around and feel strong in yourself. Look, the reason why you want to plug into your sexuality is because this is a plugging into an infinite font of life force. I mean that, an infinite font of life force. This belief that our energy is limited has got to stop. And it's only through the lens of the false feminine that we believe we have limited energy. It's through the lens of man mode that keeps everything tight and grasped and small and limited. When you're limited, you are going to limit your energy, and you're going to limit your sexual experience. What if the truth is, just because you're a woman in a woman's body and you have access to those 9 parts of life force, because we are just closer. Our energy is more tapped into that than the masculine. And as a sidebar here, this is one of the reasons why the masculine adores the feminine, because we exude life force, we exude life, we exude this energy. And when you tap into it yourself, first and foremost, when you learn to step into your queen, take great self-care of yourself, love, nourish, and nurture your sexual energy, it is from that standpoint that you get plugged in, turned on, and filled up. And then your energy is flourishing. It's generous. It's giving. It gives to everybody around it. It's people love being around somebody that has a generous energy, that shares their energy with somebody. I'm not talking about, being overtly sexual or overtly sexy. I mean that when you're plugged into your sexuality and you are confident in it, you just exude that from inside out. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to be pornographic in the way that you are with your body. You don't have to. You're just shining this beautiful, radiant, sexual juiciness. And everybody around you will love it, especially men. And they will do everything that in their capacity to protect that in you too. So let's be clear about that. All right, my loves, I'm going to sign off for now. Sending you so much love, and bye-bye for now. Big kiss.